They say that time slows down in the moments before impact. Mere seconds stretch into minutes. In that time, I was haunted by memories of the events that led to this exact moment. How just 4 years ago, Paper Mario Sticker Star came out and destroyed what was one of my favorite series, draining it of the fun, sense of adventure, and amazing charm that the series is known for. And now, here I am again, powerless to prevent history from repeating itself, as I brace for impact with its sequel, Paper Mario Color Splash. Wow, that looks really good! That's funny. Aw, that's cute. Whoa, did not see that coming. Wait. Am I actually having fun with a Sticker Star sequel? What's happening here? Yeah, I don't fully get it either. But here's what I do know. Paper Mario Color Splash is good. Like, really good. Because despite how similar it may look to Sticker Star on paper, Color Splash manages to smooth out most of the rough edges while offering something the original didn't. A world that I care about. In Sticker Star, I simply didn't care what happened next, because almost nothing of interest ever happened. There was barely a story, the world felt generic, the battle system was almost completely pointless, and the puzzles were hopelessly obtuse. In contrast, Color Splash's 30+ levels are really more of mini adventures, all of which ooze with charm, character, and fun. So instead of generic forests, deserts, or grasslands, I found myself exploring places like an active dig site where I had to rescue some trapped toads, a train workshop to help fix a rundown locomotive, a 1.5-star restaurant to assist an injured chef, and even a world-famous circus where I became part of the act. I really could go on for a while. Most every level features some kind of problem or mystery that needs to be solved, and like Pringles, once you pop, you can't stop. I seriously found myself hooked, diving into level after level to see what awaited me next. Whether it's trying to find the missing owner of a famous cafe, or solving a perplexing paranormal problem at a haunted hotel. Dang it, I'm doing the list thing again, I didn't even mean to! I really could go on and on. The amount of variety here might even rival Thousand Year Door. Especially with how some levels are even interconnected in such a way that they basically amount to a full chapter from a past Paper Mario game, such as when escorting a train across multiple regions, or heading up a crew of ragtag sailors as you sail the high seas. God, I go with the listing again! There is so much to talk about here, and part of what makes each level so compelling is the amazing dialogue. Okay, now I know that saying a Nintendo game is charming is pretty much a cliche at this point, but this one turns it up to 11. I have never had this much fun reading in a Nintendo game. Nearly every line feels like it was handcrafted to wring out as much wit, humor, and fun in as few words as possible. It's pretty rare that a game makes me smirk, let alone laugh out loud, and yet I was smiling and laughing all the way through Color Splash. Now, even though the game still suffers from generic Toad overload to some degree, the fantastic writing makes it a bit easier to overlook that this time, imbuing these otherwise mostly indiscernible Toads with actual personalities and a sense of liveliness. Hell, the game even pokes fun at itself here too. Plus, it's not just Toads this time, as you will interact with a few other creatures as well. Even your new paint can partner, Huey, is a pleasure, which stands in stark contrast to Sticker Star's Kirsty, who was just a bummer to be around. Now, the overarching story here is nothing revolutionary. Bowser's back, and big surprise, he's kidnapped Princess Peach again. But he's also robbed the world of its color and stolen the 6 big paint stars from the town center. So of course, it's up to Mario and Huey to rescue the paint stars and restore color to the world once again. Like I said, it's pretty standard stuff. But the fact that it has a story at all already elevates it beyond Sticker Star, especially with how new details unfold throughout the adventure, such as in flashback sequences that help illustrate what exactly went down. But beyond finding paint stars, which unlock additional levels by the way, Mario can help out in smaller ways too by using his new paint hammer to fill in blank spots found in every level, some of which can be surprisingly tricky to find. And not only will he earn rewards like coins and cards each time he does, but it also works toward a 100% completion rating for each level, which is a task that I found surprisingly enjoyable. Now let's talk puzzles. So like in Sticker Star, you'll occasionally come across roadblocks in the form of puzzles that require a particular real-world thing to get by, such as using a giant fan to push a sailboat along. And thankfully, those things are much easier to find this time, as you'll often have already found exactly what you need. Plus there's fewer of them to worry about this time too. But even still, the solutions aren't always the most logical. Like, do you see that frozen ice block there? I was so sure that I'd finally found a use for that darn ice pick I've been lugging around for most of the game. But nope, the actual solution is something far more nonsensical. As for the ice pick, yeah, it's not even used for anything ice related at all. But fortunately, unlike Sticker Star, it's almost impossible to get stuck this time around. And it's all thanks to this garbage toad here. No, I mean he's an actual toad that lives in the garbage can. and he just happens to always know exactly what you need when you need it, and will offer up clues to make sure that you do too. It's a very handy last resort if you can't figure out the solution for yourself, and helps avoid the frustrating brick walls that are often Sticker Star's puzzles. Plus, Color Splash does a great job of keeping you on the right track in general, such as by displaying reminder icons above levels on the world map that still have key objectives to complete. Now, solving thing card puzzles is actually a two-step process, as you'll first need a place to put the card itself, which is where Mario's new cutout ability comes into play, allowing him to cut out specific parts of the environment, providing a slot for that thing card to fit into. But you can't just cut out anything willy-nilly. Instead, you need to keep an eye out for card-shaped objects in the environment. But it's not always as simple as it sounds, as many of them depend on using the camera's perspective to make those shapes, such as by positioning Mario just right so that two separate rocks appear as one. It's pretty clever. Now there's still one major part of the game that I haven't mentioned yet, and that's a battle system. And on the surface, it's pretty similar to Sticker Star, being based around a disposable inventory of one-use card attacks. But this time, using multiple attacks in a single turn is an intrinsic part of the battle system, which greatly enhances the amount of depth as you now need to carefully plan which cards to use and in what order, especially given how the effect of one card can change how the next one might work, such as how using a POW block will mitigate spiked enemies, allowing Mario to then safely jump on them. But the biggest improvement to the battle system has to be the fact that they're no longer pointless. Literally. As you'll now earn a form of XP for winning each one, in the form of hammer points, which expands the total amount of paint you can hold. And although running out of paint is rarely an issue, the fact that there's a leveling up system goes a long way in making the battles more fun because they no longer feel like a complete waste of time and resources. But, for as improved as it is, the battle system still has some issues. For one, while inventory management has been improved with the addition of an option to sort your cards mid-battle, waiting through up to 100 of them at a time can still be cumbersome. Secondly, there will be times when you simply don't have the type of card that you need for a particular enemy, at which point you can either try your luck at a mid-battle minigame to try and win what you need, or just run away. But that being said, while I actively try to avoid battles in Sticker Star, I actually didn't mind them this time around, even if they're still not quite up to the level of the battle system in the first two Paper Mario games. They can be fun and even charming as well, with how enemies will spout random quips during battle. And it doesn't hurt that the battle music is legitimately fantastic, lending an epic big band type feel to every encounter. So that's battles. But what about boss battles, which were another sticking point in Sticker Star, in that they were basically impossible unless you had the proper thing sticker, which then made them complete pushovers. And this too has been addressed. Sort of. Because instead of the thing stickers being technically optional, they're now a straight up requirement for the Koopaling battles, making them basically another puzzle to solve. So on the one hand, it still sucks to enter a boss battle without having the proper thing card since there's no way to beat it otherwise. But on the other hand, the boss battles are actually proper battles this time, with the enemy putting up a decent fight, which makes beating them feel legitimately rewarding. But boss battles aside, Paper Mario Color Splash isn't a difficult game. It wasn't until I was well into the second half of the game that I even started to occasionally die in battles. And even then, it was still mostly during boss fights. Now this might partly be because the game's economy is kind of broken, as my pockets are almost constantly overflowing with coins and paint, meaning I was always able to buy exactly what cards I needed when I needed them, and rarely had any trouble painting them in either. It's not really a big deal in the grand scheme of things, but I do wish the game had been better balanced. But ultimately, Color Splash is a sequel to Sticker Star that I never knew I wanted. It by and large fixes the biggest problems of the original, while adding in the one thing that was missing completely: heart. Color Splash is a whimsical and enchanting experience from beginning to end, and despite its obvious differences, it even reminded me of A Thousand Year Door more than just a time or two, in terms of scope, charm, and sense of adventure. Oh man, I haven't talked about how amazing the paper art style really is this time, and the music is great too. So yeah, I like Color Splash a lot. I really don't know how you did it, Nintendo. You somehow took a concept that I thought was beyond redemption and made it work. Sure, it may not be perfect, but it's finally a direction for the Paper Mario series that I can happily get behind again. Although it would be pretty sweet if you could still get around to making that true Thousand Year Door sequel sometime. Please! Alright guys, thanks for watching, and make sure to stay tuned to Game Explained for more on Color Splash and other things gaming too. God, I can't believe I like a Paper Mario game again. This is nuts!